पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भगवद्वेषिणीम् Om. Good morning, listeners. Here again we are. I am very glad to meet you to narrate the Gita, which has been explained down the ages by the holy personalities, but no complete annotations as yet, because it is an endless ocean of theology, philosophy, metaphysics of human life. Since we all are in a hurry, be that as it may, I am here again among you with my futile effort to discuss part of the first chapter for some time, with my poorer English for some time, and as such, any inconvenience to understand any part of my words or speech may kindly be excused. Okay, now let us begin with the holy beginning, I should say. In the first verse, or sloka, as you may think it, Dhritarashtra's question was, Kim akurvata Sanjaya? And here Sanjaya's reply begins from the second verse to the 20th question, was the forces of both the sides are gathered together. What did they do? Here the warriors are in fact the spirits of all sorts of personality, inclination, will, intention, predilection to induce, instigate and urge for worldly life of earthly pleasure, who have been described as the Kauravas. That is Kaurav force. While on the other side is the spirits of salvation, sterilizing the urge for earthly pleasure, consumption, etc., executing the way of the supreme knowledge for attainment of the union with the Supreme Being at the final stage of the emancipation of soul. And they are the Pandavas. This, however, is the yogic and spiritual illustration wherein the battle of Kuru Pandavas has been described as war between the human mind and that of the life, rather the vivacity of life. Although the mind and life are not so different, mind and life are not so much different from each other, yet the mind is in fact the space among human beings where there is always the turmoils of waves of wills and desires, with its so speedy alterations and alterations of its acceptance and rejections, etc., out of its ignorance and prejudice, etc. Such state of motion containing the waves of actions is our de facto mind, which has its own power of attractive and repulsive forces, making out a kind of gross propensing, which is in reality the profession of our mind itself. The life, on the other hand, is the power of the soul. Isn't it? This power is divided into 5 cellular divisions, which are commonly called the 5 pranas. Among these 5, only the cell containing the prana itself, or pranamaya kosh in Sanskrit, has been described here as Jivatma or Arjun. This Arjun or Pran is rather inclined to salvation, while the mind denoting Duryodhan is rather inclined to urge worldly life, consuming all sorts of worldly pleasure. People seeking union with the Supreme Being, emancipation of soul, etc., shall establish themselves, unite themselves to the true knowledge, supreme knowledge, that is the spiritual knowledge of the centralized. Yes, why? This knowledge acquisition, the aim of acquisition of this knowledge is to centralize ourselves in ourselves only. Yes. And to do this, we shall have to fight a very big battle against our minds, yes, which constantly and consistently urge to worldly pleasure, including all sorts of earthly consumption, etc. And as soon as mind is defeated and ousted, the Pandavas enters the realm of supremacy, the supreme knowledge of emancipation and union with the Supreme Being, avoiding the rebirth and all sorts of sorrows and suffering, etc. Thus the present state is such that the mind, along with all its senses as well as their organs, has taken over yourself, has seized your existence, yourself, your life and living, etc., leading to desires for worldly orgasms and throwing you far and far away from the supreme knowledge. And now to study such supreme knowledge of the true consciousness, the willing spirits must have to against their minds. They must have to go against their minds, because the mind has occupied all your empire of sense and knowledge, not sparing even a pin, a needle-pointed space to enter the arena of the true consciousness. And as soon as you, against your such restless mind, the blind propensity asks Sanjay, that is, to your saved cells and memories about the condition of status of the war between Pandavas, that is our life of true sense and holiness, and that of the Kauravas, that is the propensities of mind, etc. The Lord God Omnipotent takes us with Him as the driver of our soul, chariots leading to the supreme knowledge, and this is the nature of emancipation. The wise people can see this in themselves, and those are phenomena, course of events of Kurukshetra. And the life is that spirit of life, its attractive power or Om or vitality, the root of all vivacity. This is, in short, the yogic and spiritual allegory of the Gita according to the Vedanta. Yes, yes. Thus, as at first you asked me to complete the session hurriedly, I did my best and to take leave of you. Om Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranata Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha